Hello and welcome back to the Now We Know Show, the show where we discuss a topic of interest and by the end we will have learnt something new and hopefully you will too. I'm Zach.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Buzz. And we're back after a 1 week break.
Yes.
I've had a couple of weeks actually.
Well, we took an official 1 week break, the first 1 week break since we started the Now We Know Show.
Which is pretty good going.
Pretty good going.
Pretty good going.
But we all need a break once in a while.
Yes.
Yes.
But we weren't sitting on our laurels.
Oh no.
We were out there and we visited a couple of places of interest.
Ooh.
And we're doing a double-barreled podcast. Episode 1 this week, episode 2
Next week.
So I'm back after a couple of weeks outside the studio. I have been on several adventures with the Now We Know Show crew.
Mm-hmm.
But the last one I was actually featured in was The World's End.
Wow, that was a while
Which
back.
I did survive.
That was our 1 year anniversary.
That was a
That
good
was
time.
probably one of my favourite episodes as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Had some good reviews.
Yes, and one of the many adventures that we've been on recently and that we're going to talk about today is visiting a toy museum.
A toy museum.
The House on the Hill.
Toy museum.
There we go.
If you enjoy the Now We Know Show podcast, support Zak Wylde Productions on Patreon or join our members on YouTube for early access, ad-free content and exclusive episodes. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the House on the Hill Toy Museum.
Yes.
How did our adventure go?
Well, first of all, maybe we should say kind of where this is.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a place called Mount Fitchet, which is it's very near to Stansted Airport.
Okay.
Always, if you ever go out towards Colchester Way, Stansted Airport, out to the coast,
You'll see lots of signs and
Clacton
things.
You
kind of
can't miss it.
advertising.
It's always got Mount Fitchet there, and there's the House on the Hill Toy Museum, which I visited before, but many, many, many years ago, and I've kept meaning to go back, and I wanted to take Jack along, so we decided.
I have been before, and I do have fond memories.
Well, you were
A very small...
toddler, weren't you, at the
Yes.
time? And but I really wanted to take Jack. Obviously, you're both mature adults now, and you can enjoy it more. Maybe not
We're
mature.
adults.
Yes,
Legally.
and it was Father's Day, and it made a great opportunity to go out there.
Yes.
Okay, so we went out there, and bam! First thing we found out is, can't pay for going into the
Just to the toy museum.
No,
Pay for the whole package.
yeah, the whole package. So,
Which is kind of why we're doing a part 2 on this podcast.
yeah, because we two points on this. You've got the House on the Hill Toy Museum, and then you've got Mount Fitchet Castle.
Yes, Mount Fitchet is kind of the main attraction,
Yeah.
and the toy museum is kind of like a side to
bonus.
it.
Now,
Yeah.
I remember when, years ago, you could go there and choose which you wanted to go to visit,
Right.
or if you visited like Mount Fitchet Castle, the main one, for a reduced fee, you could go to the toy museum. You see,
Right.
But I thought, well, I just wanted to go to the toy museum.
Yeah.
But it turned out that you now have to go to both, which wasn't a problem.
No, of course
We
not.
did both.
Yep.
They were both grand adventures.
Yes.
But as you say, we're focusing on the toy museum, and what a fantastic trip that was.
So yeah, from after we got through the kind of the reception area, we kind of had to take a little walk up the hill, didn't we?
Well, hence why it's
Hence
called the
the name.
house on the Hill.
Wow, we've cracked it.
But that was
Yay.
the first thing I noticed that was new from the previous time that we went there.
Yep.
Was the inclusion of dinosaurs.
Yeah, they've got kind of like a dinosaur experience on the
Yeah.
way up to the toy museum,
Which I
and outside
didn't
the toy
remember
museum.
that on the first time I went.
That's pretty cool. I mean, so that's the thing. I mean, it's a family experience. So if you're going to the museum if you're a much older adult, and you go for nostalgia, that's one thing. But it's so interactive for the younger children as well.
Yes.
So we had some fun with those dinosaurs, and I do believe, and Tina was with us as well. wasn't
Yes.
she? And she got squirted by a dinosaur.
Sorry.
Not a sentence I thought I'd hear on this podcast.
I don't know. I can't remember. Can you remember? I think it was a Stegosaurus. Was
Was it a Stegosaurus or was it one of those ones with the flaps?
no,
Not like Jurassic
not
Park
not
one.
the Dilophosaurus. No, it was a
Good
small,
naming. We'll have to do a dinosaur podcast.
It was a Stegosaurus with its thagomizer.
Why would a Stegosaurus
Does it squirt out the front or the back?
Squirts.
Well, I don't know why it was squirting, but
It was an interactive experience, okay?
experience.
Was it supposed to be squirting?
Very hot day, and Tina got soaked by the Thagomizer. Interesting point. Do you know what? Did you know that's the official name for the spiky tail of a Stegosaurus?
I think, yeah, they mention it in Jurassic Park, don't they?
What, the Thagomizer?
Yeah.
But did you know why, Jack, it's called a Thagomizer?
Nope. Pythagoras?
Well, no. It never, ever was given a name, an official name for the spiky tail on a Stegosaurus.
Like the bulbous bit.
No.
Spikes on.
I think it hasn't really got some bulbous bit. It's just got I think it's 4 spikes that stick out.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll bring up a picture.
The bulbous ones are the ones on those.
They're the Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus. But anyway, it was because a cartoonist whose name escapes me
Thago
did a little cartoon of cavemen, and the cavemen, one caveman had been killed by this, and he was called Thag, and he got killed by the Stegosaurus's tail, and in the cartoon it says, "Oh, that's called a Thagomizer," and then because it was just so funny, the paleontology community took it on board and actually officially named that part of the Stegosaurus
there we go.
a Thagomizer.
And now we know.
Now we know, show.
Now we know, but that was all because of a cartoon.
Yes.
There you go.
And that's why. So if you're listening and you go and see a Stegosaurus, remember to point out the Thagomizer.
Well, thank you for listening to this dinosaur episode of the Now We Know Show.
Okay, so we are outside of the House on the Hill Toy Museum.
Yes. And we've enjoyed the dinosaurs, and they got a couple of those stick your head through the hole thingies, haven't they?
Yeah, they're all over the place, aren't they?
So, we took some silly photos.
Yes.
We can pop those up, maybe.
Was there like a giant sort of T-Rex head as well? In
Yes,
a paddock
in like a
type?
cage.
Yeah.
It's like, mind your hands, we won't refund if you get lost
and
fingers.
And for the kids, there was also a fossil dig, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah, I
sand pit.
remember that.
Like a sand pit where you could uncover
Now,
the
where
fossils.
was it? There's kind of like a dinosaur place that we used to go to.
Now there's one out in Norfolk, and I'm not sure if they changed the name of it, but it was it wasn't called Jurassic Park. It was called like a Jurassic Experience or Jurassic Land
World
or Dinosaur World.
Dinosaur Land.
But we went there, and that was great. Yeah, that had
Especially
loads
the
of
kids. I always
interactive stuff.
remember getting transforming dinosaurs.
Yeah, well, you
Dinobots.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
what
it.
kid didn't love collecting dinosaurs? I mean, did you collect dinosaurs, Jack?
I did probably have a dinosaur phase.
Every kid loves dinosaurs.
It's always fascinated me how, especially like younger boys, always go for like dinosaurs as like an obsession for a bit of time. I wonder why it's
Maybe that is the topic for another podcast.
Why it's universally
I did actually put out a call for a dinosaur specialist
Do we?
to come in as a special guest.
Yeah, that'd be
and-
great.
I've seen
and
Jurassic
I'm still
Park a few
hunting.
times.
I'm still hunting for people to
Yeah,
come in.
yeah, we know the movies.
We know the movies, but we want kind of like more of the, the theory and the
We wanna
science behind
learn.
it.
Well, we like this kind of the science things and stuff to do with like
But
that
there
type of
are-
thing. But maybe we should do like what would it be like if like dinosaurs could be real?
They are real, but they were.
Well,
Yeah, I know that, but like,
I don't
would we
get-
recreate dinosaurs like from a scientific standpoint?
I think that we need to leave
If we
that for that
could, should we?
podcast. I think we need to leave that.
Yeah,
for the
we're
podcast
talking about Toy Museum here.
because there are people out there that do not believe that dinosaurs ever existed.
Just because we can doesn't mean we should.
so,
That's Jeff
there's so
Goldblum's.
many there's so many films suggesting that. Yeah.
nature finds a way.
Life.
Life.
Life
Finds a way.
Finds a way.
Yeah. Anyway, we found a way of getting wet.
Oh.
by getting squirted
Well,
by
it was a
stegosaurus.
warm day. It was a warm day,
By
so we were a bit
stegosaurus,
sweaty.
yes.
Okay, so we've entered.
We've
the front-
entered
the
The
entrance.
grand entrance.
Of the toy museum.
And at this point, we should note that we were made aware that there was a haunted house
Yes,
experience
now the haunted house
at the reception.
Yeah,
So-
the haunted house experience at the.
Well, no, we were informed
Yeah,
at the reception that there might
yeah.
be one.
Yeah, and it was £1 extra, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Per
Yeah,
person.
so it made sense to kind of
And
pay an extra
we all
pound.
got a ghostly stamp on our wristbands.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't notice.
You didn't notice?
Oh.
Yeah, man, all the wristbands were stamped
That's
with
why
a
we just
ghost.
got. Okay, that makes
And
sense.
that meant that the lovely lady at the toy museum,
Just opened the gate for us.
She said, "Yeah, go in," and it was great because that wasn't there before.
No.
Yeah, that was a whole new thing for me to experience that. And so
We were handed a lantern.
We were just handed a lantern.
But Jack didn't quite know how to use. It was quite funny.
It was quite funny.
That was the second time round.
Okay.
And then off you went up the staircase
To a
into
very
this
narrow
haunted house.
corridor, completely pitch black.
Pitch black. So you had to have the lantern with you.
Or some night vision.
Yeah, Zak,
Video.
Zak just happened to have his night vision camera because your phone does.
Yeah, my
night
phone
vision.
does night vision.
And we
which
got
is pretty
we got some very funny clips from that. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely on the top.
cool. Here, Jack. Jack, have the torch.
Oh, Jesus.
Would you like the torch?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the torch.
How do I turn it on?
Open it. The top. There you go. Oh my god.
You just look the right size to fit in this coffin I'm making.
Thank you. Ah! Jack! Man, that was bad. Why would you do that? We're friends.
Hey, where do you think you're going? I live here.
Sorry.
What gives you the right to come here? You're
Okay.
gone. Clear off.
Well, oh, that's a wall. Okay.
I can't see.
Jack, you're down the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Oh no. Zach.
What?
It's the scary room.
The scary bit. Oh. Oh my lord. Ah.
Okay, we're going.
We're continuing our haunted house adventure.
I can't see. If there are any spirits, please speak now. No, okay.
The voice
Ah!
of their guidance. All thou keep on, you to walk the earth. Run safely away. Here,
Well, that's intense.
forward into the black abyss.
Jack, I'm coming! Ah! Skeletons! Ah! Run, there's a witch! Ah! What's going on? Where's the way out? Ah! Oh my, ow! Ugh.
And but that was really good. I really enjoyed that,
Yes.
because it was silly fun, but it was good,
Yeah. Something different.
and I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
So if you get there and you're given the option of going on that one, do pay the extra £1. It's worth it.
definitely worth
And if you've got kids with you, they're going to love it.
And you
They may
as
get
you-
scared, because some parts were quite scary.
as you
I won't give too much.
as you come out the exit as well. You can kind of go round again. So me and Zach did go round a second time, didn't we? Just to make the pounds
just
worth it.
Get your money's worth. I think you were working on every time you went round, you were like reducing the cost. Like, go round the second time, that's 50p a trip.
It's like when you buy in bulk, isn't it?
I know. And yes, that was great, really good fun. So that was the first thing we did when we got into the museum, and that
Yes.
was right at the entrance.
Yeah.
And then we went into the museum.
So we should say the first room that in the entrance
Yep.
was quite a lot of sort of arcade not arcade machines, but kind of like fairground
Yeah, the
machine type
fairground kind of Victorian old
like,
penny.
like
machines.
Zoltar machines and things.
Yeah, the Zoltan.
Zoltan, that's it.
What's that from?
Zoltan was from Big.
Big.
Oh, okay, with Tom Hanks.
I had one which I had a handshake, didn't
Yeah.
I? But that one actually worked. A lot of the machines, I think you have to go to the reception and switch your modern money for old
Oh,
money.
right. And we got
if
a
you
clip
wanna
of
use
that
them.
as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and we. So I was shaking the hand of this fortune-telling machine,
Uh-huh.
and it said,
Stop doing that motion.
Sorry.
Remember, this is a podcast, so we can't see what you're doing with your hanns.
Okay, well, I'm imitating shaking. Well, it wasn't actually shaking, it's more like squeezing it.
You just sort of had to hold it.
Yeah, I hold it in front of me, tightly. And so anyway, and it had this thing spinning around, and it went bing!
Yeah.
And I said, royalty. See? And
What was it foretelling?
It was for trying to tell. I think it was trying to tell something about you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
okay.
What is your call in life or something?
Something like that. Fact is, I know after doing the ancestry stuff that I'm descended from Scandinavian royalty. So there you go.
There we go.
And it's
So
even
you got
more
it
worth
right.
it because
It's not
I'm
just
related to you, so
So you
therefore
are
I
too.
know as well.
And that's 20p from you, Jack. That was well spent
Yes.
to tell me something I already knew.
We
And I
do-
got
we do like spending
I
money.
did get a clip of that as well. So there is
Brilliant.
proof.
I have to put that up.
Yeah, put that. Ready? That's right. Descended from Sweden's famous Viking royalty.
The first thing I noticed when I went in there was a mannequin of Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
remember
the
that?
Terminator was right at the front. Yeah.
Yeah, I took a few
was
pictures of that.
Next to, funnily enough, Del
very
Boy's
very scary Rodney and Del
Del
Boy
Boy
from
in their three-wheeler,
Falls.
Robin Reliant, which is kind of odd for a toy museum.
Yeah, but there's some quite a lot of like sort of hidden away stuff like on the shelves.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of memorabilia and things.
Yeah, they had a lot of those kind of like what the butler saw machines as well.
Yes,
Where
yeah.
you wind the handle and you look through the thing.
They were very Victorian sort of.
But what I'll say is, again, going through the museum, they had a quite an extensive lot of World War One and World War Two memorabilia,
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
which has got nothing in the actual title of the museum to even let you know that. So if you are somebody that is fascinated by First and Second World War, well worth
Yeah,
going.
had lots
Because I
of,
think
like,
you spotted some bits, didn't
guns
you?
and
Yeah,
things.
so
yeah.
I noticed on one of the, because we're jumping in a little bit, but there was a few sort of staircases up to different
Yeah.
rooms.
Hmm.
On one of the staircases was a piece of Rudolf Hess's plane, who, if you don't know, Rudolf Hess was a Nazi, quite high up in the Nazi party, and he decided that he didn't agree with the Nazis, so he flew to Scotland, crashed his plane, and then got put in prison in the UK. But there was a piece of his plane there, which I thought was really
Which
a
is
really cool
like you
thing.
weren't expecting.
But it was just on the. Everyone was just walking past it, and it was just on the
That's
staircase.
the point. Didn't I also see part of a satellite?
There was a
something.
piece of a rocket or something, as well,
Yeah.
like a NASA rocket that was like,
Yeah, just
Buried
hidden,
away.
hidden away
and a
in
jaw.
like a corner.
There's quite a few Jaws things that were kind of behind like kids' toys and things.
Yeah, but
that's right.
again, that's the thing about this toy museum. It's got so many different rooms, and we'll sort of walk through, do
Yeah.
a verbal walkthrough. But there's just so much to try and take in.
Yeah,
There's such a
Such
everything's
like an
hidden.
overwhelming thing.
Everything's hidden in
so
plain sight.
so
Yeah.
much to
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
And you kind of like don't realise you've missed stuff.
you could probably spend several more hours in there and still see new things as you walk
Yeah.
around.
That is
so,
very true.
yeah.
That is very true.
I've just made a connection in
Yeah.
the first room that you
Mhm.
walk into, or the second room, I should say. There was a big T-Rex head that was actually used in
Yes.
Jurassic Park.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
So I wonder if that's
It's one of the models from Jurassic Park.
yeah, I
wasn't
wonder
it?
if
That's
that's
really cool.
kind of why they go for the
Why they
dinosaur
go for the
theme.
dinosaur outside. I
possibly.
don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, there's a connection there. And they had, and we had a lot of Star Wars also in the full-size mannequins in
Yes.
the first.
Do
sort
you
of-
remember when you did that impression of Watto?
Watto. So you think you're some kind of Jedi? Huh?
See if I can put the clip up.
So you think you're some kind of Jedi, huh?
Did you notice
But it was
the-
right next to. Did you describe Chewbacca?
Oof.
He looked a bit
Like a
like a roadkill.
roadkill Chewbacca.
It wasn't the best look. It wasn't the best look.
Chew smacker.
Oh no.
His poor face had been rather beaten up.
That was the alternate universe where he didn't meet Han.
Maybe that's a segue into our other Star Wars episode we did.
Did you notice in the big? There was like a big central cabinet full of Star Wars figures from
Oh,
the
that
80s.
was yeah.
There was a TIE Interceptor, but the wings were on backwards.
Yeah, somebody
Did you
put the
notice
wings
Yeah,
on.
I was really surprised that that was the one thing I noticed immediately was in the centre of this kind of massive Star Wars display
Yeah, I mean, they
was
got
this
all the-
TIE Interceptor with the wings on back
They
to
got
front.
all the spaceships hanging up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, really cool. And I was just like, nobody noticed that.
You know,
Really?
Come on. Yeah, so
It-
because that was what one. Then a corridor. That was probably the fourth room in.
I mean, there's so much stuff. It's quite hard to
Yeah.
tell which room turns into which.
Was that the one with the kind of
There's
kind
a-
of theatre with the puppets that
and
were
there
quite
was
freaky?
yeah, and there was a music section as well. All sort of there was a really awful sort of mannequin of the Beatles, which was very scary.
So we went through the first bit that got the Terminator
Yeah.
and the sort of Star Wars full size mannequins in there, and then there was a second room which that had a lot of old steam boat toys and things in it, but it had a lot of slot penny machines in it, didn't it?
Yeah.
In the second bit, and then you went down a corridor past quite a convenient play area for the kids. There was a lot of
Yes.
interactive stuff in a room
Yeah.
in there.
The big Predator poster opposite as well,
Oh, good.
just for the kids.
Just for the kids. And that also, I must admit, I missed this, but in the kiddies' interactive area, they had a big display cabinet full of toy soldiers.
Okay, I don't think I went in there very often.
And a big sort of battle scene place in
Oh,
there.
that's really cool.
Which I only glanced at, didn't get. But that's when we went into the area that had the. I'm trying to remember. They're the kind of a theatre area with all the puppets. And I know
Marionette type
things.
things. Yeah.
And I know that Tina mentioned she used to have one, which was the Giant. And there
Which we have a picture of.
Just trying to think of there were a very, very well known set of toys where these. I'm gonna have to Google it in a minute. But that all these puppets were really popular through the 70s and 80s, and so they had a big display. And then when you triggered probably the IR sensor,
it seemed to kind of activate some kind of motion, like dance, didn't it?
Yeah, like
a freaky kind of song. I'll have to put up a little clip of it.
Yeah.
This was so covered in the early 1960s and pretty books, taken away in the story.
Also in that room we had, as I mentioned, the music stuff, which I found quite interesting. There was lots of on the top there was lots of signed guitars and things.
Yeah.
And lots of posters of, I think some of them were way back in the 50s and 60s. They were kind of posters of concerts that had happened in the area.
Right.
Which was quite a cool thing to see. Took a few photos of those. And at the end of that music-y bit, kind of randomly, there was a TARDIS, kind of shoddy looking TARDIS.
Honestly, how did I forget that?
Big TARDIS, and then at the front there was two Daleks.
Two Daleks, yeah.
And a few sort of Doctor Who and the Daleks, Peter Cushing posters
Bits
behind.
and things, yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
I know there was a lot of signed things as well.
I'm not sure if the Daleks were actually
I think
official
they
ones.
were probably just donated.
Yeah, and the TARDIS definitely looked sort of
bit ropey.
homemade.
The Daleks were... the dimensions were wonky,
That's the thing. You mentioned the TARDIS, but there was a TARDIS in the entrance
main
as well.
entrance,
Yeah.
That was
I asked the lady behind the desk. It had a big bunch of keys. It had a big bunch of keys that were actually in the lock.
Oh, right.
So I said, "What did you keep in there?" And she said,
Maybe she was the Doctor.
That is a secret, she said.
it was
the under gallery.
That's it. That's
where all the lost children get taken.
It was Pelham puppets, by the way.
Pelham
puppets.
Right.
So anybody listening that remembers the Pelham puppets.
And they were sort of marionette style.
Yeah, I mean, they were back in the 70s, and I would assume mainly the 70s. They had a big range of these Pelham puppets. They're really collectible now, and they're your proper puppets. Because you've got kind of, I suppose, two different types of puppets. You got hand puppets where you stick your hand in, and then you've got puppets which are on strings with the crossover wood at the top, and you can make.
That's kind of a marionette type thing.
Yeah. And the Pelham puppets were just like every kid's dream Christmas present. They were really popular, and I think if you've got Pelham puppets these days, that there's some really rare ones that are worth a lot of money.
Well, speaking of collectibles that are really rare and hard to come by, I know there was one thing there that you were looking to see again, which was the Johnny 7.
That was there was a couple of things, because for me, going to the toy museum, and so I chose it to take you guys along for Father's Day trip. I thought it'd be great fun, and it was great fun. I mean, really, really enjoyed the day.
Definitely recommended. 100%.
There were certain things on my wanting to tick to see.
A bingo card.
Yeah, bingo card, because you're going down memory lane.
It's nostalgia, isn't it?
And there are certain toys from my childhood which I would love to have owned but didn't. And the Johnny 7 was one of them. To be honest with you, the Johnny 7 probably came out earlier than... Yeah, because I would have been a very, very young kid when the Johnny 7... I don't know when the Johnny 7 came out.
So for our listeners, what is the Johnny 7?
I was going to say, this is going to sound really odd. We're talking about the Johnny 7. I'm going, what the hell's the Johnny 7?
What is a Johnny?
Well, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say what is a Johnny, Jack.
For our American listeners.
Yes.
No. Well, don't go down the rabbit hole.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. The Johnny 7 is a gun.
Right.
Okay. So it was every kid's dream. I mean, yeah, when you were kids, back in the day, it was popular to do things like, say, play cowboys and Indians. So you had cap guns, cowboy style cap guns.
Yeah.
And of course you had James Bonds, and so you got a lot of, and we saw some of those, like the James Bond secret agent kits and everything were there.
Yeah.
And the Johnny 7 was, again, because kids generally played soldiers.
Of course, yeah.
I don't remember any kids back when I was a kid that we didn't want to play soldiers. We were always out there, playing soldiers. And a lot of the films that you still had at the time were all the sort of Second World War movies all the time.
Or westerns and things.
Yeah, it was cowboys and westerns or Second World War movies. And so that was a big thing. And the Johnny 7 was this big old machine gun that basically did 7 things. And I can't remember if I recall this right, but obviously the machine gun itself, the whole Johnny 7.
That's the whole thing together.
Yeah. Then it had the flip down supporting legs at the front, which I think on the box says that's one of the things.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then you've got the grenade launcher and the rocket launcher.
Okay, that's 4.
And then you had the actual machine gun sound that it used to make. Okay, and then it came with a knife stashed in it. And it also had the actual trigger mechanism that you'd be pulling, the handle used to detach into a pistol.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so I think all in all, basically it meant that if you had the Johnny 7, you could disassemble it and hand bits to your mates, so you could all play together.
That's cool. It's kind
put
of
it
like
all
a
back
modular.
It was a modular toy gun, which was just like so awesome. So you could rocket launch and grenade launch and everything.
So, given that came out a while ago, how collectible is it?
Oh gosh, I think they're like hen's teeth these days.
Well, there's only one in there, so.
Do you know? I saw 2.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember when we went upstairs into the section where they were playing the Doctor Who music and things?
Yeah, we'll get to that bit.
We get to that bit, but there was a bit in there where I think it was where again some life-size mannequins of Star Wars. They had the Emperor.
That's it.
Oh,
yeah.
For some bizarre reason, there was a Johnny 7 stuck in that cabinet. Because the one
Random
one you photographed was downstairs.
What are you saying? There was a Johnny 7 stuck in the Emperor?
Well, it was protruding. Let's put it that way. It was protruding. Yeah, where all those mini Daleks were.
Yeah,
It was
I know what
at
you're talking about.
So I took a few photographs on the day just as keep.
I think we all did. Yeah.
Yeah. So to jog my memory, I've kind of just looked through some of the photos and to see. There's actually another kind of gun thing at the back of this cabinet by the looks of it called Secret Sam, the most amazing secret weapon ever, and it looks quite flash. It looks like it comes in 3 parts.
Now that reminds
looks a lot older.
That looks like a Boba Fett gun almost.
It does look a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because there was a lot of that kind of stuff kind of underneath the main Star Wars display.
Yeah.
All the boxed figures and things.
But on that subject of guns, there were, I think in the cabinet next to that, there was like a giant kind of Vietnam War / World War II cabinet full of guns and helmets and armour and things.
Well, I've just looked up, because you asked about value of it.
Yeah.
I've looked up, done a quick search on Google, and the vintage is the 1964 Johnny 7, and they want in between 350, depending on condition.
If it's got the grenades.
350 to £550.
Is it complete?
Well, I haven't looked at the actual details on it, but you're looking at £1,000. I would have thought easy for one.
Okay, so maybe a bit more than a Cybo Interceptor.
Another interesting piece in one of the first rooms was Princess Diana's bicycle from when she was a kid. That was kind of an interesting.
Yeah, because they had a bit of a display about Princess Diana.
I mean, that must be worth quite a lot of money to have it its own cabinet. So that was another interesting thing that's linked to toys. I guess.
Speaking of bicycles, going upstairs again, a new section that obviously wasn't there when we originally went there all those years ago was the Stranger Things display.
Yeah, that must be quite new, obviously, because Stranger Things
because
is
it had a bike and several signed
props and
things from the actual show, and it was interesting to actually see because a lot of the toy museum was actually dedicated to vintage and older toys.
Yeah, they have lots of adverts up saying that they're always open to buy toys, but they want toys from.
And
I think from the late Victorian age through to the 80s.
Yeah,
right.
And to me, this Stranger Things display kind of stood out from that.
Well, it's based in the 80s, isn't it?
It was only a small section.
Yeah, it was a small section, but it was just an interesting thing to see.
It's interesting that they've acquired that sort of stuff.
I liked it. I think
alongside it did have a lot of the retro things you see in the show.
Yeah.
Like the Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Like, we have that.
Well, actually, wasn't the Key to the Kingdom game in the same cabinet?
Yeah, that's true.
The Key to the Kingdom game was in the Stranger Things cabinet, and next to the Stranger Things cabinet, you had all the old mobile phones and all the electronic games consoles, which is quite good because I saw all the Atari Lynx there, which only briefly got to play with when I was young, and so I don't know what it looked like if you're playing with it now. I used to have, if anybody out there remembers the Sega Game Gear, I used to love the Sega Game Gear, but the display on it was quite blocky. Yeah, but yeah, it was nice to see those things. Oh yeah, I remember that.
So in that room, that was kind of the first stairs we took.
Yeah, that was the first set of stairs we went.
Literally, as you get to the top of the stairs, you're met with just a giant cabinet all the way down to the end of the room of Action Men, which was probably my favourite part of the whole museum.
Well, if you listen to which you do you listen to the chat that was going on, the recording? Supposedly it has the largest collection of Action Men in the whole of the world.
And it was good.
Wow.
It was good to have.
Doesn't mean everything's on display, because I noticed that some things.
There was a lot.
Some things I was looking for, which I have seen there before, weren't on display. So maybe they rotate.
Private collectors and things.
Yeah, because they rotate maybe.
It was really good to have Buzz actually with me because you taught me a lot about Action Men. It was like you're having my own little tour guide with me.
Maybe you should get a job.
Hey.
But you mentioned there was a few Action Men in there that were quite rare or possibly not.
Oh yes.
So there was the Intruder.
Well, the Intruder is an odd one, okay?
Right?
Because I remember as a kid,
I had no idea about this at all.
the Intruder was touted as being Action Man's enemy,
Right.
and this creature was basically, I don't know. Well, actually, it used to look like my old boss.
So is this kind of
It's kind of like a caveman.
Is this,
It's like a
is this
caveman.
pre-Dr. X? I'd assume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's
This
more
is
our era,
probably.
I
I think
Yeah.
the Intruder was probably mid-70s, early to mid-70s, and unlike Action Man, who by that time was obviously fully articulate, you can move him all around the place, articulated body, and he'd gone from having the fixed plastic moulded hands, which could basically hold a pistol or whatever, to having the realistic gripping hands, which is great fun because you could put him on the washing line and you could do like
Zip lines and things,
abseiling and stuff like that. But the Intruder came along, and that was touted as his enemy. But the Intruder, as I showed you, Jack, he got like this gold plastic leotard on. That's it.
Wow.
And that's all.
That is a picture.
That's all it came with. And I say it looks like my old boss. Although my old boss didn't wear the gold leotard.
Well, maybe he did.
He just had the same beard. But anyway, he was made out of this really tough,
It just looks like a
Moulded plastic.
solid block of plastic with paint on.
and it really bad seams on the plastic as well.
Yeah, you can see
It
where it's
kind
starting to
of
come
looks
apart.
like a stretchless Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah. And
His eyes as
Yeah, it's
well.
just got white eyes.
Quite
but
creepy.
he had a button in his back.
Right.
So he's got his arms in this kind of like bear hug position. So if you push the button, his arms open and shut, open and shut. That's basically all it did. So it's like bear hugs Action Man in the jungle, and
Just gives him a hug.
gives him a hug and wrestles with Action Man. So he was touted as and I used to have one of those. But I think if I've got to be honest with you, I think as a kid, the excitement of getting it was far more than actually once I got it and thought, well, actually, it doesn't really do a lot, And it kind of like when you consider all your Action Men, they've got all the different military uniforms, some
accessories.
some fantastic accessories. I had an Action Man boat that it's a proper electric motor on it, and I used to take it down to our local sort of ponds that we had, and because you had to set the rudder so it'd do a circle. You put your Action Men in it.
So it actually worked?
Yeah, you put it out and just chug away. And slowly come back.
You might never see your Action Man again.
Well, let's put it this way. Eventually,
Just send it across
eventually
down a river.
Eventually, it would bump into the bank somewhere. But
And
yeah,
sink.
that and we had, my mate had Paul Green. He had tanks, and we had
That was the thing. I noticed the
jeeps and
tank.
helicopters and helicopter.
That was cool.
Not jetpacks, but helicopter backpacks.
What was that?
I had a favourite. I've got to say that. I had
Okay.
this favourite, this SAS Survival canister. It was like this black canister, which I didn't see that the museum had, and that had like sprung-loaded ends, and it popped open, and you had an inflatable dinghy in it, and all sorts of stuff. And
James Bond style.
You could blow the dinghy up.
Really?
Put your Action Man in it, float him in the bath. But talking about the baths, my favourite as a kid, my most favourite, and they did have one there, is Action Man Deep Sea Diver.
Yeah.
Because with the deep sea diving Action Man, he came with a proper it's a cotton outfit suit, which wasn't really waterproof, but it was rubberized on the inside, but he had actual kind of lead metal boots that came on it, and a big deep sea diver helmet and everything. You imagine kind of your Captain Nemo old fashioned deep sea diver, and he had pipes. that you could put on him. So you could put him in the bath and he'd sink down because of his feet, and you could blow air down and bubbles would come out. And absolutely brilliant. But then you had the intruder, who suddenly does nothing. Does nothing, and it's kind of like, oh, this is like, it's meant to be his enemy.
With realistic grasping action.
Hugging motion.
So I'm going to take this time. I know neither of you care about this at all, but another thing that was in there was the Action Man Sport. So there was an Action Man that was sort of like a goalkeeper, a Olympic champion, a cricketer with sort of cricket bat and stumps and things.
I never knew that they did that.
And there was a footballer who came with a little FA Cup.
FA Cup.
Which I quite liked.
Yeah, no, they did.
That was a cool thing.
Well, that was the thing. So you bought your Action Men, and again, with the Action Men, originally they had painted hair. So they had like a moulded hair, and then they just painted different colours. The yellowy one was the blonde one, and the dark haired one, blah, blah, blah. And then they came with realistic hair, which was kind of like this bristly stuff.
Fuzzy stuff.
And then so a bit like your hair, Jack.
I have Action Man hair.
You have Action Man.
You are Action Man.
And then they did the Action Man with a beard, like you, Jack.
Oh my God, I am Action
Man.
Man.
Action Man. And then they did the Action Man with a beard. He was my favourite Action Man, and he had the eagle-eyed Action Man.
Oh, right.
Okay, have you heard?
Have I seen an advert like this?
Well, he had little lever in the back of his head, and his eyes would go left to right like that.
Good
just like
demonstration there.
For the audio listeners.
Right. So you had the realistic grippy hands, the realistic hair and beard. Maybe I had the thing about having a beard when I was a kid. I don't know, but now
you do definitely have a beard now.
And he had the eagle eyes as well. And so, but the thing was, you bought your Action Men, and most of your time you just buy the Action Men. And they would come with sort of like, I think with the bearded one would be like the mountain climber. So he'd come with all the gear for mountain climbing. He'd have his ropes, he'd have his, the spiky bits you put on your boots, what are they called?
Spiky boots.
Crampons.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway,
not sure.
Yeah, those bits that go on the bottom of your boots with the ice spikes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not particularly an ice climber,
no.
but...
And he'd have his ice axe and all that. That was great. But what you could do is then separately you would buy other outfits.
So this is something I didn't know actually before going in. I thought you kind of just bought them as one, but I didn't realise you had like sort of blister packs.
Yeah.
Just with their extra
with
accessories.
You could buy all these different accessories.
That's cool.
You customise them. It's a huge range of stuff you can customise Action Man with, and also the boxes used to. I'm sort of going from my memory. They used to have little kind of A tokens on them. So when you bought them, you could cut the tokens off the boxes, and then you could collect. So you're buying the uniforms, you're buying the added kit, equipment, and you're buying the Action Men, and you collected these A tokens, and then you could send them into the toy manufacturer.
What, by like post?
Yeah, by post, and claim, X amount of tokens would get you. Yeah, they had like a little pamphlet that said, 6 tokens would get you this uniform. Or this bit of equipment.
Cool.
So you could like redeem your tokens by buying the stuff. I used to remember that.
Do you remember any that you kind of
I can't remember if I actually did that. Probably as a kid, I probably avidly cut the tokens out and didn't do anything with them.
One of the other things I found interesting that I had no idea about, similar to the Intruder, was, I'm going to show you a photo, was this guy.
Him.
Who was an Action Man, who looks like an Action Man, but he has
He's called the Bullet.
He kind of has metal
I
arms.
actually never had him. He's a very odd-looking character.
Is that like a helmet next to
him?
it?
Yeah, it's like a kind of sea
like
devil looking helmet.
It's kind of like a bar boot. And basically he was called the Bullet. Don't ask me what he was doing. I can't really remember much about the Bullet. But next to him, have you got a picture of what was next to him?
Yeah.
And I actually still do have that one. And that one is Atomic Man. Now I think they brought out Atomic Man at the same sort of time they brought out the $6 Million Man, and they had quite a few $6 Million Men and a Jamie Lee Curtis, which was the Bionic Woman, in a case.
Jamie Lee Curtis?
Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah. Was it Jamie Lee Curtis? Jamie Lee Summers.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was it. Jamie Lee Summers was the Bionic Woman. And that's Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's what I was like.
Completely different. Slightly off track there.
But we did do a Halloween episode.
Bionic Woman versus Michael Myers.
So anyway, things up with Bionic Man, he had... on his arm, he had rubber skin that you could peel back and see the bionic.
Yeah, kind of like Terminator.
That's it. You could roll his skin back. But I think over the years, I would imagine these days that's probably rotted, deteriorated. But with the Bionic Man, you could look through the top of his head and out of his eye. He had like a prism in his head, so you could look through his bionic eye, and you could. And with I think the Atomic Man was kind of Action Man's attempt to kind of reproduce their own version of the Bionic Man. He was a goodie. and he had an atomic heart. He's got like, this plastic heart that had a button on it, so you could push the button and it just go dunk, 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 dunk. It's an atomic heart, and an atomic arm, which is so the rest of the Action Man is that kind of pinky plastic, but the arm is see-through,
They're kind of translucent, yeah.
translucent with kind of silver metalwork in it.
I think you can sort of see it in the photo a little bit,
just hanging out the cuff of
yeah.
it. And he got in his arm, he's got like a little wheel you could spin, which was attached all the way down the arm to the wrist. And did he have the helicopter bit next to him in the photo?
He has like a
That's it.
propeller type thing.
That's
yeah.
it. So that swivels out to make a 4-point propeller. He holds onto that, and then you could spin the cog in his arm, and his whole hand spins around, so he could take off.
The human helicopter.
And he also had the same. He had the translucent legs for running fast and stuff.
One of the other ones I thought we're going to be here hours talking about.
Action-Men.
One of the other ones I found interesting was the Iranian embassy SAS figure. That was quite a surprise, because considering that was probably quite a big news story at the time.
Yeah, it was. And Action-Men, obviously the company jumped on it.
And who's this guy? He's got like fake heads that you can put on. Like, it's like a Captain America head. That you
Oh
can,
yeah, that's weird.
some kind of spy one.
Yeah,
What does the little bit of information?
Well,
on
that's
that picture?
talking commander. I
Oh,
think
yeah, of
that's the
course, I
other
forgot
one.
all about the talking Action-Men. The talking Action-Men were brilliant.
1973.
They had a unit in their back,
Uh-huh.
which you pull a cord out of, and
Like Woody from
Yeah,
Toy
like
Story.
Woody. And they actually had a record player in their backs.
No way.
Yeah, I kid you not. They
Wow.
had plastic actual records, like you get
Like a little-
a 45, but these like little records with what they were saying on them, like you would have from a vinyl record.
No
And you
way.
could get different ones and put them in, and you pull the string. It had a tiny little stylus that would run on it, and they would say all their different command things, you know.
I've never heard
And
about
you could
this.
switch out the.
So it never even need batteries or anything.
No, you just pulled because it was all by clockwork. So you just
Well, I mean,
pulled the string.
they
and it
are
went
saying that
back
vinyl is having a revival.
in, you know, and they could talk. So they used to do these different commands and things. And yeah, God. I'm by all means, I am not an Action Man expert.
Are you
I
sure?
am just,
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I am
You are
just
of all of us.
I am just recalling the stuff from my childhood here.
The thing I remember is the bazooka.
The
'Cause I remember
bazooka?
you getting that off eBay not
Yep.
too long
That
ago.
was a blast from the past. Pardon the pun.
Ah.
Yeah, no, I love the bazooka. And there was another little thing that I really loved as well with Action Man, and that was the grappling hook gun. It was
Okay.
like a bit like, if you can imagine, a mortar. Yeah, it had its stand.
Yeah.
And actually, it had a grappling hook that went in it with a rope.
Yeah.
And it had a sticky end on it, like a dart. You could fire it, and it never really did. In the advert, it always used like stick to a wall, and an Action Man could slide down. But it was just like fire and bounce off the wall. But I just love the fact that you had a grappling hook that you could shoot and hook on. Try your best as a kid to try and get it to hook onto something, you know. Yeah, and no, they had just so much equipment and so much stuff. I'm not surprised that they were just such a popular toy range, and then. Obviously, it died a death for whatever reason, went out popularity, and then they did that revival with the Action Men.
The ones I remember were. Kind of,
But then they all the moulded clothes,
Yeah.
which just aren't the same thing. So yeah,
I had a few like vehicles and things, but seeing that cabinet, I don't think there was ever the range
yeah.
like
We've still got. How many Action Men have we got now? We've got 2 or 3, haven't we?
Yeah, something
And
like
I've got most of a Spaceman Action Man.
that. Still, the spacesuit ones are cool. I like those.
Spacesuit, yeah. And actually, another one I used to have was the fire. I don't know what it was called, the fire officer, or just but he had a silver. You know, can you imagine that if you go into a fire zone and they have like a silver
Protective
suit
shield type
and
thing.
this big sort of hood with a bit of perspex in the front of it. You know, it was like a fire protective suit. And yeah, as a kid, you know, it's great. You know, it's just like having this full fire protected Action Man.
So we could talk about Action Men for
Yeah, we could do.
hours.
We could do.
That is true.
We could do. But anyway, so
On
we're upstairs
yeah.
in that first upstairs room.
So on the opposite side of the room, the flip side, we have the Barbies and
Barbies,
Cindy,
Cindy,
which I think was the
Pippa.
yeah, I think Cindy.
Now, I am not
From
an
what I
expert
know,
on these at all. But,
wasn't she-
But Tina was there. And Tina came to my rescue because Tina said she used to love the Pippa dolls. And they're the like miniature ones. So if you had an Action Man, you also had... what were the little ones? Little Big Man was like a half-size Action Man. And Pippa, thankfully Tina told me this, Pippa was like the mini one.
Yeah, so we had
Pocket-size Cindy.
there definitely wasn't as many Action Men. There was only kind of a small section. We had the Barbie and the Cindy, which I think was the British kind of equivalent of
To
Barbie.
Yep.
And and my sisters always used to steal my Action Men because they could be the boyfriends of their Barbies.
Oh, good grief.
I think it was Tina. Was it Tina that was mentioning? She said the annoying thing with having things like Cindy and
Sisters.
Barbie. No, not sisters. Oh, yeah. She probably would agree with you there. Yeah. But she was saying the problem with those figures at the time is their feet were always moulded to wear stilettos.
Stilettos, yeah.
So like when you were trying to play with them without any shoes on,
Well,
they wouldn't stand up.
There's a joke about that in the new Barbie movie. So,
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Can you search?
It's in the trailer. Everyone go watch the trailer.
Have you watched the new Barbie movie, Jack?
I haven't, but it's coming
Is that
out.
another
It's coming out in
Warner
July.
Brothers? It's another Warner
It
Brothers.
is a Warner Brothers, yeah.
You
so
made
I
that
should
film.
plug.
You definitely made that film.
Yeah, he probably had some hand in it there. Hand in
In Barbie.
Cindy.
No.
Cindy, that Barbie.
Whoa.
Oh, hang on a minute. Who's playing Barbie?
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie. There you go. She works out in the gym you go to, doesn't she?
She does.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, I think in kind of the centre of that room, they had kind of like a Meccano
Yeah, that
kind
was
of section.
A Meccano section. They also had that had some movie models in it, didn't it?
Yeah.
There was a sarcophagus.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
It's
stood in,
Nod.
yeah.
Sarcophagus. Gosh, yeah, just so much to try and... There's just so much.
It was very overwhelming, and I wish I could go back through and read more stuff because there was like just so much.
So
You
much
could be there for
information.
hours and hours just
Yeah, yeah.
reading every.
And they
title
had
card.
that section towards the back of that room.
Yeah.
That, again, was kind of like another war display with all the
Yep.
mini kind of figures and planes, which looked quite
Yeah.
cool.
They had a pirate up there as well, didn't they? Big
Yeah,
pirate. But yeah, you had that cabinet with the large... had the Emperor from Star Wars in it. He looked really grumpy, didn't he? Really
Well, I mean, he does look pretty grumpy in the movie.
I know, but he's just like his head down. It's like, oh, I've been stuck in this cabinet.
Didn't it have?
Stuck in
did
this
it have,
cabinet for years.
like a sand person? Sand person?
What are they called?
Tuscan Raider.
Tuscan Raider. There you are.
Can you do a Tuscan Raider for us?
Wow, I'm so glad we had that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's better than my water. And anyway, so yeah, so that was the first. We are not touching upon it fairly.
We're
enough,
barely
I guess.
scraping the surface, as they say.
Again, going back to that same section, I think it was towards one end of that. They had like a small Doctor Who kind of display with, I think there was a Product Enterprise Dalek that I had my eye on. I was like,
Oh yes.
ooh, well,
I
that's
could see
coloured my
you-
interest.
See you wanting to push the talk button on it, but
Yeah.
it's like 6 inches through the glass.
No, come on. And I think they had some Mark's Daleks in there as well. And
Oh, loads of Rollerkins. Yeah,
the
Rollerkins
Rollerkins
the
ones.
Rollerkins.
And I think there are a few Doctor Who kind of games and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And I think just slightly below that, there was... Who was that famous stuntman with all the figures?
Oh, you're talking about Evil Knievel.
Evil Knievel.
Because he had a
kind
good
of had
range
that,
of toys as
that,
well.
Yeah.
that
Did he
kind of
have
loop.
The one
thing.
that you wound up
Yeah, that's
and then
it.
let it go and it went.
On his
Yeah.
motorbike.
Yeah, they had that there,
Yeah,
which
it's
was
pretty
quite
good.
fun
I
to
think
see.
my mum talked about her cousin, one of her cousins possibly had that.
Yeah, my best friend at the time, back in the days of being at school, Loz, he used to have the Evil Knievel, and we used to charge it down his... he lived in a flat and he had a big long corridor, so that was what we were
Perfect.
zooming it down there.
They come with a little ramp and everything.
But because he had a jump, you see. But then there was other toys there that were there before, which was the good old Muton, Cyborg and Android.
That's a little plug for the Collectables episode where you talked about the Cyborg, Muton and
We
Android
need
figures.
to do a part 2 of that.
I mean, could this be considered a part 2 almost?
I was looking forward to seeing them.
Almost.
I
Spiritual
was
success.
looking forward to seeing them because I thought they might have some of the other kit.
Yeah,
there
like
that I haven't
the
got.
Torg outfit with the
outfit.
horns.
Yeah, and stuff that I haven't got. And it would have been nice to see those, but they weren't there. But I have seen them there, so I kind of guess they must rotate.
We do
one
have
out.
the Cybo Invader, Interceptor, and
They-
most
I'm
of
sure
the bits.
they had a Cyber Invader there.
Did they?
Yeah, but obviously they rotate stuff. It's a limited space. It is a big museum, but it's still a limited space.
It'd be so cool to have a toy museum,
Yeah.
I mean,
especially with all my stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went downstairs again, didn't we?
Yes.
Went downstairs. There's some comedy mirrors, like from Funfair Mirrors.
Yeah, I think I got a picture of that.
And then we went through the couple of galleries we'd already been through. And then there was another upstairs section, wasn't there?
It
Yes.
was.
And that was a lot of. I think it was kind of the Blitz. I think was sort
Yeah,
of the overwhelming theme.
That's kind of what took me, because I wasn't expecting, going to the toy museum, they had suddenly got so much war memorabilia.
I mean, there was just thousands of like shells and bullet casings and guns and
some
all sorts.
interactive displays, because we all tried the helmets on.
Yes, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a cool photo of all of our
bits and
All our
bobs.
helmets
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I was the warden. You were the German. Zak was the German.
Got our helmets out and got a nice
You
picture.
got our helmets out for the photo. Yeah.
It was
Mine's got a W on
it was the fact that when you said shoot as to,
Oh, yes.
to activate the camera.
Yeah, I was talking to my
Tina-
camera, so I said shoot, and then Tina in the background going. No, I'm just telling my camera to shoot. It's just quite
that
funny.
was quite funny, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it was absolutely a blinder of a day going to the toy museum.
So on our way back through, this is just a segment because I'm quite a big fan of the Beatles. And these,
Oh yes, the music section.
the Beatles, I can introduce you to the mannequins of the Beatles. So this is John Lennon in all his glory.
It looks like an Auton.
This is, I assume, George Harrison.
George Harrison, yes.
Everyone's favourite, Ringo Starr,
Yeah.
looking like he's got jaundice.
It's like a Neanderthal.
And everyone else's favourite, Paul McCartney.
Oh no! Oh no! He's
He's
like the serial killer. Paul
his
McCartney.
fringe trimmed.
What was that picture in the background you went past?
There's like a big poster.
Where it was rather warped faces.
And Bobby Moore listing the World Cup. That was kind of a bizarre bit, but it was quite cool.
Other sections that have come to mind, they had like the Victorian teddy bear section, where they had all the teddy bears, and they had the sci-fi robots. Yeah, so all the wind up.
Well, yeah,
wind
that
up
was near the
robots,
T-Rex head, wasn't
the
it?
Japanese type.
And you had, I think it was like some very old Ultraman figures.
Oh yeah, you
that I
spotted
spotted
Ultraman.
though. So I was like,
God,
haha.
how's that going? I can't remember. What's the
Ultraman.
Ultraman.
This is the dub, by the way.
Yeah.
Ultraman. Ultraman, watch your hero fly in a super jet. He comes from a million miles away in a distant planet land. Comes your hero, Ultraman. Anyway,
Ultraman? Yeah.
Did anyone notice the kind of like small like kiosk of like old tins? Did you see that?
Tins.
It was like old sort of cigarette tins and things. Just
No.
thousands and
I
thousands.
saw the kind of frame display of all the Winnie the Pooh kind of. Were they magazines or books? They might be books.
There's quite a few Disney bits.
like the Rupert the Bear ones.
Rupert the Bear. Yeah.
That may have been it.
Yeah, with Rupert the Bear. Yeah.
The annuals, yes.
So there's a good range of sort of
You
old,
could
very
literally
old,
get lost in there.
very very old stuff, and then all the way up to sort of 80s, late 80s stuff.
One little thing that I spotted, which was yeah, actually you remind me. That was the thing, because some of the cabinets didn't kind of like continue their theme, did they?
It was a bit random, yeah.
They had some random things in
Scattered
them.
about, yeah.
And that was going back to the action bin, because there's the action bin, and as you got down the end of the cabinet, there was that brilliant
Board game
Seven
section.
Dwarf game.
Yeah.
It's like, what, do you want to describe it?
Well, there's a board game section of just like
Yeah.
piles of board games.
But
And
there's,
there was,
there's Seven Dwarfs.
Shooting the Seven Dwarfs.
Okay.
It's like a Seven Dwarf shooting range.
So you had the Seven Dwarfs as a kid.
Why am I imagining something like whack-a-mole?
Yeah, but this was brilliant. It was like shoot
It's like a
the
Tin
seven-
Can Alley type
Yeah,
thing.
shoot the Seven Dwarfs. Yeah, that's just, who came up with that one? But the thing that got me was right next to that was an old Victorian game called Spring Heel Jack.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I'm sure I've got a photograph of it somewhere. But because of the story of Spring Heel Jack, and we said we'd want to do a podcast on Spring Heel Jack.
Call back to our
Yeah.
Hertfordshire
Folklores,
folklore. Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
And suddenly there's a Victorian game, Spring Heel Jack. And I thought, oh, I'm going to have to look into that.
Connections everywhere.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely fantastic. You just if you haven't been there, listeners, you've got to go to the House on the Hill Toy Museum, because if you're into just walking down memory lane and
Yeah, I would say even if you're not like a
collector.
toy fanatic, you're going to find things that
What are you trying to say about me,
you're
Jack?
going to find things that interest you because you've probably got nostalgia for the
definitely.
items.
It's
Isn't
a very nostalgic experience.
yeah, and there were a few things again that I remember from my childhood that weren't there, like the Pocketeers. I'm a great fan of Pocketeers. You don't know what a Pocketeer is, do you?
We've got some in the
Heard
other
of
room.
You got some in the
Heard
other
of
room.
the
But
term.
they did a big range Tomy Pocketeers, which were like pocket. They were back in the day totally either wind up because they had clockwork mechanisms, or they were just tilt and turn type
Things.
puzzles and games that fitted in your pocket. So it's kind of like almost your retro Nintendo. It was no electronics to them at all.
Yeah.
But they were like the pocket games called Pocketeers. Massive range. They were really popular at the time. Didn't see any of them there, but
Well,
There
that
you go.
again, that's the great thing. Obviously, we'd been there before,
Yep.
and obviously since we'd been there, they'd obviously updated the displays and things.
They've
So
rotated it,
it's
yeah.
definitely worth going
yeah,
multiple times.
Yeah.
Maybe not like once a month or anything, but like maybe like once every year.
yeah, once a year.
Definitely.
Give it a go.
And if they're constantly looking for new items, there's probably going to be a range of new stuff in there.
Yeah, I think it was. They kind of said that it was like exchanges for cash or donations.
I mean, the thing is, if you've got young kids, like you went when you were a young kid, but then you've gone back for a second time and the experience has been completely different.
Yeah.
But just as enjoyable, if not more so.
Because I remember when we were actually leaving the first time round, they had a lot of kind of collectibles on sale. One of which I remember there's being a TIE Fighter, a Kenner Terminator, and a 1998 Godzilla.
They did have a Godzilla there.
They did have a Godzilla there,
Yeah,
but
we found one.
it wasn't for sale.
And it was the 2014 one, wasn't it? I think.
It was the 2014 one, yeah. Very big. I think actually the people that released that was Jack's.
Pacific Jack.
Double K.
Yeah. Jack's Pacific, yes.
Yeah, and those three items that first time round, because I was actually quite young, I was kind of scared to go, oh yes, I want to buy those, please. And I remember you, Buzz, offering to buy the Godzilla for 40 quid, and I was like, if that was still there now, I would jump at that.
Yeah.
I would jump at that.
Well, it would have been worth it.
Well,
we
yeah,
didn't get it.
definitely.
Yeah, there wasn't really. There was a kind of gift shop.
Yeah,
I think that was more sort of for the castle bit.
Yeah,
we'll get onto.
down at the reception where we bought the tickets, they had a section in that shop that had some retro toys and things for
I
sale.
see.
But
But nothing on the same scale as
No,
when
nothing
we
on
went
the same
previously.
but I mean, yeah, you don't go there to.
That reminds me in the that kind of area of like that cafe down at the bottom, in like the reception area. They had a framed Lando Calrissian figure
Oh yes.
and a couple of Star Wars figures advertising the toy museum.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, poor Lando.
He's just on
Poor
his own,
Lando.
isn't
He's been encased.
Oh no, poor boy.
He did look a bit sad.
So anyway, to round up, what was your overall?
Fantastic experience. Would definitely go again.
So
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It was interesting to actually go around with you and sort of get an insight into some of the memories you had as well.
oh, I know. At times I've got to apologise, guys, because I ran off because I was having such a good time.
no, we lost Buzz
So
in the.
I kept running off to. I want to see this. I want to see that. I want
Yeah.
to go and see this.
I mean, you could go around. I could go around again now and still see completely new stuff that I didn't see
I
before.
was, I was getting that complete, what do you call it? Kind of like sensory
overwhelmed.
overload.
Yeah, overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's it.
And you see things, and then you see things, and then you come back and
It's like, ooh, wow,
Yeah.
ooh, wow, ooh, wow. Like we saw
You just want
Robocop
to see.
figures.
Just want to see everything at once.
There was
Yeah.
there was that Lord of the Rings kind of game, wasn't there?
yeah, like a Mega Drive type game. Or
Yeah,
something.
that was obviously pre Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. That was really
Oh, I
interesting.
didn't see that. I'm
didn't even
gonna
know
go
didn't even know that was even a thing.
Right. Okay. Well, so there you go. So, listeners, the House on the Hill Toy Museum at Mount Fitchet,
Yes.
well worth a visit.
I have a good anecdote. Well, it's not a good anecdote by any means, but it's a good bridge between this part and the next part next week.
Okay.
So recently, we've actually been clearing out our garden.
Mhm.
There's a big, well, not big shed, but a small shed at the end of the garden that we've been clearing out. And at the very bottom, I found a box, and it had my old wooden castle in it, with
Ah.
all my knights and
Oh wow!
blacksmiths and princesses and kings and all sorts in it.
Oh, that's
So I pulled
amazing.
that all out, gave it a wipe down because it's a bit dusty,
Mhm.
and constructed my castle from when I
Excellent.
remember. It brought back
Brilliant.
so many memories of having little horses and knights and things.
So you spent the next 2 hours playing.
I did, yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh, why
Brilliant.
not?
Well, it's just a good, because I don't think I ever forgot about them, but it's just one of the things you're like, it's probably got thrown away or you're just likely to never see it again.
Well, I suppose it really brings a kind of question up of why did we as adults still find that toys are fascinating? And I think that it is because it takes you to a place that you remember.
It is that
which-
nostalgia, isn't it?
Nostalgia, but it's a good place.
And it's a
Yeah.
place where you had so much imagination.
Yeah. Fond memories.
And I am keen that every adult tries to hold on to that being a child,
Mm.
because it's too many times in life where you have to
Yeah.
adult
Yeah.
that if you can keep that imagination, and there's nothing wrong with acting like a kid sometimes.
It is
because
so easy to get consumed by life's troubles.
the darker side of things.
And
you
you've got
lose-
to hold on to
You
that.
can,
And I think
you
you've got to
can
hold on to
lose that imagination of being able to play. I think maybe that's. We spoke earlier before we came into the studio about things like Warhammer 4000 and such like that. A friend of ours has approached us and asked us if we can come and have a 2-day Warhammer.
Is it 40,000?
It's 40,000. Don't say 4,000.
I think that's the old one.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know what-
But
I don't know what the difference
I
is.
don't know. But anyway, yeah, he's good. But why do adults still play these kind of tabletop games? It's probably a game because it's using that imagination
Well,
we had when we were a kid.
It's like for me, like writing and making films and things. It is
Yeah.
coming from that place of imagination where, as a kid, I used to recreate Doctor Who episodes with
Yep.
toys and
Yeah.
Star Wars and castles
I still do
and
that
things.
now.
But it's like, I suppose there's always that something inside where you can it's imagination.
It's a
where you
really,
go,
it's like
I want to make up my own story. Or
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess
I'd
it's,
even go as far as to say, attach it to my bushcraft in a certain way, because when I was a kid, I was always taking my action men out on adventures.
Yeah.
You know, and they would be building fires, being little camp cooking sets and stuff that came with them. And as an adult, I wanted to go and do that.
Yeah.
And I did. And for years, I've spent my time out in the woods and
Yeah.
having adventures and climbing mountains and stuff. Yeah. And it's kind of like being the action man.
Yeah. No, definitely.
that when I was a kid, I wanted to be.
Yeah.
You know, so,
I think it's very
fascinating.
important for a child to like have that kind
Yes.
of imagination play
Yeah.
and just
definitely.
let their imagination go wild. And
It's a great kind of distraction from daily life.
very vividly remember having like a pirate ship as well, and I'd use the carpet as the sea, and in my brain the whole living room carpet was just the big ocean. And it's like, when you look back, you're like, that was just me on the floor in the carpet, but in my head it was like
The best thing ever.
yeah. it's hard to kind of recapture, I guess.
Maybe
but-
maybe I should start some kind of like Instagram account with like displaying all the things I have, like all these
don't know.
collectibles, because I've got so much. I've got so
I don't
much.
know. Well, you
And I know some friends that actually do.
So,
do
yeah,
that, so.
But anyway, good way to round up. Have we got a section that we all have?
Well, I think that brings us to quote of the week.
Quote
Quote of the week.
Quote of the
Ooh,
week.
I don't know if I've ever had one of these.
Have you done a quote
I
of the
don't
week?
think
so,
Jack's
no.
been in for quote of the week.
No, I think that was after World's End, wasn't it?
I actually, I don't remember the end of the World's End episode, so
Maybe that's
we
an
could have done one.
opportunity
I don't
to revisit it.
So has anybody got a quote of the week?
I think Jack might do.
Do I?
Do
Yeah.
Do I have a quote of the week?
Remember, it was the green.
Oh,
green-
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, we
go
were
on.
joking on the way here about being in the green room before we started the episode.
Right.
But the green room is just the garden.
Yeah.
In this case.
Yeah.
Where we
'Cause
discussed.
It's really hot.
It is
at the
very
moment,
hot.
Okay, we're in the middle of June and it is 30 degrees.
It's quite
outside.
sweltering, yes.
So I said very stoically, "Isn't the whole world just one big green room?"
That's a good quote.
I thought it was very metaphorical.
Yeah, that is good. That is good.
Is that quote of the week?
That is a good quote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take it.
It's like the entire world is your waiting room.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. That's a bit morbid though.
What for death? Jesus.
Suddenly took that
So
down.
no, I'll take it.
Suddenly took that down a very dark corridor then.
Not to be confused with the Haunted Mansion at House of the Hill Toy Museum.
No, not at all.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, you got a quote?
So, have we got a quiz?
No, Zach hasn't.
Have we got a quiz?
I've got a quote. I'll try to get a quote that's kind of like, on the childlike
Oh,
spectrum. So my quote is, "The world is full of people who have never, since childhood, met an open doorway with an open mind." And I think that's what we're talking about. Being
Yeah.
able to keep hold of that open mind as a child.
imagination,
And that
yeah.
imagination,
Well, there's
So,
no point growing up if you can't be childish sometimes.
yeah,
Good
exactly.
Doctor Who quote there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
quote of the week. Boom.
Job done.
Do we have a quiz?
Nope.
But anyway,
Let's make up one now.
part 2 next week.
Yes.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Did we want to reveal?
I think so.
Well, my anecdote about the castle was kind of a good little
Yeah,
bridge.
good. Yeah, little bridges to the castle. Yes, with the portcullis.
Yes.
So next week's episode is going to be all about what's right next to the House on the Hill Toy Museum, which is
Mount
Fitchet
Fitchet
Castle. And that's all big. It's a lovely place.
Amazing.
It's Anglo-Saxon castle.
So we're going to get into that next
Yeah, we
week.
get into that, and there's a lot to cover on that one.
Yes.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe to this channel and comment below any suggestions of topics or activities you'd like to listen to in future episodes. That's a big Star Wars Emperor Palpatine goodbye from Zach.
That's a realistic gripping hands and eagle-eyed action man goodbye from Buzz.
Not to be confused with the intruder.
We don't talk about the intruder.
That's a creepy jaundiced Beatles goodbye from Jack.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next week. You can find the Now We Know Show podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Check out the Zak Wylde Productions social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or visit the Zak Wylde Productions website at www.zakwyldeproductions.com. Please get in contact, we'd love to find out how you're listening to us. So get in touch in the comments and don't forget to check out Zak Wylde Productions on Patreon to become an official ZWP patron today.